Jr.
Yes. Thank you for coming to another great show. If this is your first time here, thank you for joining us. This show is all about getting into greatness, getting to the next level, and jump forward. What are you waiting for? You know you've got it. What are you waiting for? Let's go. And you know what that thing? I never used to say that. Let's go. I got that from my son. You know, he used to play video games, and I hear him yelling that all the time. I'm like, yo, where did this saying come from and all the gamers and stuff? And I was like going online and found somebody that's very interesting, how he got into it, why he got into it, and what it's done for him. So without further ado, let's welcome our special guest. Let's go. Let's go. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great, Charles. Great to be here.
I'm so glad to have you, man. My son is going to be ecstatic after he listens to my show. You know, the one show, I've done hundreds and thousands of shows, but the one show he'll actually listen to is probably because you're on it.
Okay, cool. Well, that's what I like to hear. I meet a lot of professional like the staff members at professional sporting organizations, and their kids, their eyes light up when they get to meet like the stuff that we do, and they get to be a part of that stuff. And they're just like, I bring him to baseball games. He's able to chill in box seats, but this is the stuff he goes crazy about. And I was just like, that's what it's all about, man.
That's
Hell
all
yeah.
it is. So let's backtrack. Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, so I'm from Pittsburgh. My organization overall is based on the East Coast in the city of Pittsburgh. I'm a University of Pittsburgh alumni. I grew up in Bucks County on the other side, right outside of Philly. So Pennsylvania, born and raised.
Nice. All right, so let's backtrack.
Sure.
Growing up, what did you want to become?
My career shifted a lot when I was really little. I think one of my first instances of kind of a career path was when I wanted to own an ice cream truck. You
Okay.
know, I think that was that's where it started, and then it all just kind of went from there. I wanted to get into real estate. I wanted to be a full-time chef. There's all these different things. I wanted to be a streamer for the longest time. I wanted to, because when I was growing up, that was when the internet and YouTube streaming, creating content really became uh, a a path for people to follow out of college or out of school, whereas before, like, there wasn't really a lot of revenue streams there. So my career, it shifted a lot, and you know I changed my major in college 3 times, and I didn't find where I'm at now until really late in the game. So in keeping with the theme of this podcast, it's literally never too late to find what you're truly passionate about, and sometimes you don't know until you look. And in this case, I did a really good deep dive and found a career that I truly enjoy.
So then what were you in? What job were you in? And then you just said, this is not for me. I got to get out.
Yeah, so where I was at, I was in international business. And here's the thing for everybody at home who, if you're going into university, you have to pair global business or international business with something. And they didn't tell me that, and I didn't understand that. And so then I shifted over to marketing and digital media because I thought I was going to do a lot more video. Um, and that's when I kind of found like the tech side. So I ended up going into an internship with CDWG, which is a larger tech provider for like a lot of different universities and different offices. And then they were making a big push into selling esports equipment to colleges. And that's where I really found a love for this overall, because one, it was in I was talking openly about gaming, like gaming titles and developers that I was interested in. I was staying up to date with stuff that was happening that I was already interested in, like new games that are coming out, crazy drama at this developer, like, you know, everyone's leaving and going to this company and stuff like that. So I ended up coordinating with the people over campus recreation, student athletics, Pitt Greensburg, who was one of the first of our branch campuses to have a professional, like an actual collegiate esports team. And I realized I had a real passion for this when I was creating the Discord community at my university, so that we could run like events in Among Us, or like a bunch of different games that were like really popular at the time. Among Us is still relatively popular, but it's really dipped down a lot. But that was kind of my segue into this. And then lo and behold, I find that there is a professional esports team based in my city, and their offices are relatively close by. And I was a student. I still had my bus pass, so I had to take two buses. I took the one bus, and then the other bus over to the North Shore, where our offices are located right in the Steelers building. I was really nice to the security guard. And I was like, I have mail for James, and she was like, oh yeah, here, go right in. And what I did was I made a packet of my resume that I had rewritten 4 times, my cover letter
Hmm.
that I had rewritten 3 times, white paper, and a couple of different University of Pittsburgh branded face masks, because this was peak COVID at that time, right?
Right.
So I packaged it up and I gave it to him, and I thank God he really took a liking to me, and we our first interview, like, we just talked for like 2 hours, and it was such a different experience than other interviews that I've been a part of. And then that was how I really got into the professional space overall. So I found something that I had a knack for. I aligned it with a passion of mine, and here we are.
So let's backtrack though.
Yeah,
How old are you?
I'm 25.
So when someone sees you, they're like, aren't you late in the game? Are you early in the game? How does this world work?
Yeah, I think that I'm very early in the game for being on the staff and the corporate side. Now, what is a typical pathway that you might see in this space is people will be in their professional they'll be in their professional career on the competitive side at my age, anywhere from 17 to 25, and that age range, or probably a little bit earlier, like to 16. I always go back to Guga. He was one of the people that won the Fortnite World Championships, and he was 16 at the time, right? So what some people will do is they will have their professional competitive career, and then they will take those skills, that experience that they have over their course of their career, and they'll go into a team management position at an esports organization. They'll go into the staff side at another esports team, or they might take that skill set and just port over to an executive corporate position at a tech company such as like Dell, or Sony or Panasonic or something like that, because they bring years of input from the competitive esports side, which this people that view this content regularly, they tend to skew into the 18 to 35 category, high income, highly engaged with the brands that they see that are growing the space. And that input from somebody that's an insider in the space is very, very, very powerful for companies that want to get involved in a
You
very lucrative audience
you've
group.
been there, you've looked at the screens, you know
Exactly.
what you like, you know what you don't like, you don't
Hmm.
like the curve, you don't like this, you don't. So this is actually
Exactly.
building experience to carry on to something else.
Yes, yes, and some people will find esports a little bit early on as, okay, I want to do this. So they'll now, what people have the option of, they kind of had the option when I was young, when I was going into college, but and NACE, the National Association for Collegiate Esports, is constantly getting new colleges and universities, big and small, as coming into the fold. Um, the NCAA didn't want anything to do with esports, so they handed it off to this organization. And constantly there is opportunity at universities and colleges, whether you're going in as a freshman, or you could develop your overall competitive skills, and you can be a part of that varsity experience and build those skills even earlier than say just going right into competitive in your 20s, right? So um, I am young for somebody that's in the staff and corporate side, but I am old if I were to have gone into the competitive side, the more of the competitive teams,
So
right? So
what was my thing to everybody is you're going to fail in the beginning, you're going to learn, but the thing is your failure leads to greatness
yep.
because I don't believe in failing. I believe when someone says, "Oh, I failed," I say you learned
Hmm.
because you learn from, "Oh, I should have went left when I should have went right," playing a
Yeah.
different game. And what have you learned in this whole journey of yours?
I think I learned the power of being pleasantly persistent, with whether it's being with people that I'm going after for certain partnership and corporate partnership opportunities, or I'm discussing with discussing with people internally as to how we can make this strategic initiative work versus another, and learning from their point of view. So I think being pleasantly persistent, as well as being able to ask questions and understand where people are coming from, are two things that I've learned. I've also learned the hardships that come when you don't take into account the other viewpoints, and when you don't ask the right questions, because then what you're doing is you're making large decisions that affect a larger amount of people, but you're making those decisions in the dark. And I think that's a couple of things that I've learned so far, like in this role and in this industry as a whole.
So if people don't understand gaming world, break it down to us in the short of shorts.
Okay.
what do
Okay.
what do you do? Do you sit in front of a computer all day? Are you playing on a
Yeah.
joystick all day? Give us the rundown of the short of shorts.
Yeah. Okay. So esports overall is the world of competitive gaming and playing different gaming titles competitively against other people at the professional level. Now, in this space, the governing bodies that people are going to be making the decisions are going to be the developers of those gaming titles. And esports as a whole kind of acts as high level marketing and being able to promote that game to a wider audience, which is going to be your more casual grassroots level gamers, so that they get not only all this publicity from the larger stars associated with competing on their stages, but also they're going to be getting that publicity targeted towards a very specific subset of people, whether they're casual or hardcore. Um, that's what esports is overall. Now, what it offers on the corporate side and the professional side is it allows different companies and brands to be a part of a main line of communication straight into the millennial and Gen Z audience, this highly lucrative 18 to 35 age range, who is very engaged with the brands that they see, as I said before, are building the space that they are actively engaging in. It's kind of like on the traditional sports side, if you saw that Coca-Cola was sponsoring this professional football team, and they were developing a bunch of different free summer camps for the kids. That's something that affects you positively, right? So when esports and fans and gamers alike see different corporations and brands getting into the overall gaming space, they want to see a couple of things. One, they want to see that it's not just a simple logo placement and an ad slap or a commercial right on their experience and taking away from the experience, but that it's overall developing the event that they're a part of, or it's developing the tournament or the event or the competitive league that they're watching, right? So that's how it pertains these to the corporations and the brands that I talk to, and then also to the fans themselves. So that's kind of a quick TLDR for esports overall. You
So
know,
let's get down to the game itself.
of course.
Give us one of your almost didn't make it. You thought you had it, yeah, and what you learn from it. Like, give us the ultimate game that you're playing. You're almost there, and then it just didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, I never really got into the overall the competitive side as far as gaming. I went right into this wanting to be on the staff and the corporate side, but I think that for me, Valorant in and of itself is the largest, depending on who you talk to, is the largest esport right now, right? Esports in general, like as a team, we have a competitive roster of four separate teams and four separate gaming titles, right? So it's as if one organization owns a football team, a soccer team, a hockey team. That's kind of how I put it into terms. And Valorant it's a little bit tough. Like it was hard for me to get through the tutorial just because I'm not naturally a PC gamer and it is a PC based game.
Mhm.
I'm not even going to get into the whole console wars part. We don't have to. We can if we want to. That's one of the reasons I have all my Xbox controllers is because I like how thick that this is, and I feel like I can like kind of be frustrated. I'm not going to break it. Whereas opposed, I mean, PlayStation remotes are too thin. Whatever. Just Xbox is a man's controller now. But now the but if we're talking about that, like how I kind of failed and where I didn't really see the whole competitive side is how many times I died in the tutorial levels of Valorant. And then I got to play a couple matches and a couple scrimmages with our Academy Valorant team. And then it was brutal, man. It was brutal. I could barely, like, I would spawn in and then I would just barely be able to even get across the map without being just taken down. And that's like that. I had the same experience when I played Counter-Strike. Our entire executive board is comprised of Counter-Strike professional pros who
Hmm.
went on, again, as I said, they went on to those corporate positions, right? So James O'Connor, our co-founder, and our CEO, he ran 30 seasons of professional Counter-Strike, and he was the first coach to bring an American team to the World Championships with
Oh,
Team Liquid in the title of Counter Strike. So I would play with some of our guys, and I'm just like, these guys are on a different level. It's kind of like when it's just like when you hear in football when the guys who were the stars at their university
yeah.
go on to professional tryouts, and it's such a different world. Like,
Faster, bigger,
exactly.
stronger, moving faster.
Exactly. So that's probably been like a little bit of my story of failures in overall, like, the gaming side. That's why I've kind of opted in for single player games, like, I don't know, like the Far Cries and Skyrims of the world. You know, so
All right.
that's how I'm different than a lot of these guys.
Let's
Yeah.
have some fun. Here we go. It's now time for rapid fire. 2 minutes on the clock.
Oh boy.
Gonna throw some questions at you. You can elaborate, but remember, you got 2 minutes to get through all the questions. Here's the thing, though. You get to choose your destiny. You get to choose A, B, C, or D, and those are the questions I'm going to ask you. So, which ones would you like? A, B, C, or D?
B.
B. All right. 2 minutes starts on the clock when I ask you the first question. What advice would you give someone getting into the same industry as yours?
Utilize Eventbrite and Reddit to start running your own gaming events and promote it on and post it on Eventbrite, promote it on Reddit in your own geographic location, and utilize social media to meet more gamers in your area and to overall develop the following in that area.
What scares you?
Ooh, complacency.
Cats or dogs?
Ooh, dogs for sure. Dogs.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it go?
The Maldives.
What challenges you?
Getting up in the morning.
What would you change about yourself?
Probably my calves. Probably I could work on those a little bit more.
What is something you like doing?
Being outdoors.
What is something you hate doing?
Getting stung by bugs.
Favorite hobby?
Oh man. Um, exploring new gyms in the city that I'm in at that time.
Do you remember your first love?
Yes.
And what do you love doing the most?
Um, improving myself so that I can better the people around me.
All right, so these are bonus questions because you got a little bit of time left.
Okay.
Favorite game to play?
Oh, right now it's got to be Star Wars, The Force Unleashed one. It's an old game, but people will love this one.
There you go. What's the worst game you hate to play?
Oh man. I think I have it actually. Cyberpunk. Oh my god. No, man. This is it. This is the worst one. Worst one I got.
Yeah.
Like, it's just no. I tried to like it. Jesus.
Just wasn't happening for you, eh?
No, this was right after like all the patches and everything. I'm like, okay, it's probably okay now, but
Mhm.
it's tough, man. This one. I check in, I try to give it a chance every now and then. It's like, no.
Stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's okay if you're driving or too busy to take notes. Charles has your parachute packed with all the info you need to jump into success. Check out the links section for all the tools you need to land safe. Now, let's keep falling with Charles and his special guest.
We are back live here. Now, let me ask you a question. What do they call you in the gaming world?
One of the staff junkies that they don't really care about. No, I'm just totally kidding. No, I'm despite the fact that everybody at the company gets a jersey, I'm one of the staff and I'm one of the behind the scenes people. My official title is a corporate partnerships manager. So, whenever I hand out these super cool thick business cards, that's what people are going to see.
So what do they call you, Mr. Brown? Did they give you like a code name? Like what did they call you?
Yeah, my code name is PK Liam, just Pittsburgh Knights Liam, or Flaming Duck.
Okay,
Flaming Duck is just yeah, no, there's just very few. Yeah, I know. I know. So here's the thing, the Flaming Duck thing comes from like I was on Discord, and for the long so we as a company, we're a gaming organization. Of course, we're going to use a gaming specific communication vector to, for our day to day. And in Discord, my original title was Liam the Esports Manager, because that was my original title like in senior year of school, and I was just like, yeah, this is me. But then I'm actually meeting people on the competitive management side, and I'm meeting people on like the executive level at these like different esports organizations, and I'm just like, it just doesn't feel right. And then like I saw a duck at the park, and I was just like, that's it, man. I was like, that's it.
All right, I'm telling your organization right now, get him some
Oh, they
business.
hated it. They hated it. Oh my god, I changed it on like a Wednesday evening. Like nothing. Like I didn't even go into the week like, hey guys, like no, I just changed it. So all of the group chats I was a part of,
Yeah,
like they needed stuff. They needed stuff from me like the next day,
you're
and
right.
like I was just sending it out, and they're like, who is this dude? Because I had also changed my profile picture in it. I didn't have a profile picture before. I changed it to. I got one of those Mid Journey AI generators,
Yes.
and like it was AI artwork, and I'm just like, I want a Warhammer 40K inspired duck on fire, and then it gave me my current profile picture. I was like, yeah, man. So that's where it all came from.
All right. So right now we have, before we even get any further, tell everybody your handle so they can go see this logo of yours.
Now, if you guys, yeah, you guys could find me on Discord as Flaming Duck, but like my handle on like my Instagram, which I'm most active, it's just PK Liam one. You know, I'll post a lot of Sigma grind set gym stuff, and then I'll also post esports stuff. And then if you go on the night socials, you can see that I'm in some of our old videos and stuff like that. Being in front of the camera isn't like my strong suit when we do like sketches and stuff, but like, well, it's like normal like this. Like I usually have a handle on like my words, at least. Jesus.
Loving it, loving it. Okay, so I love what you said in the beginning. If you're trying to get into this business, trying to get into game, you got to market yourself.
Yeah.
You said, put some stuff together. Explain to everybody that people won't just find you. You have to build your brand and get it out there. Explain to all the young guys out there that think, oh, I'm just the greatest thing out here. They'll just find me. You got to work at it.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that confidence. It's like I already have this skill set, and I am the greatest. Great, tell me, show me. Like develop a brand around yourself, or showcase to me examples of how you are the greatest. When we go on the competitive recruitment side, we look at a couple of things like your overall social following, your skill at the gaming title, your personality in interviews, and then on the staff side, we want to make sure that you have experience. If you don't have experience in gaming, what kind of other pertinent like skill sets do you have to the role in question, right? So I would say like as far as building up yourself and your overall brand and your skill set, take inventory of like what you know how to do. Make sure you have examples of stuff that you've done in the past. That's why I say like try running your own esports events. Get a, it doesn't even have to be a venue. It can be in your backyard or wherever there's a stable like internet connection where you guys can game together, and you can get like a $100 camera and take really good professional photos of how the event went. And events is like is one part of esports overall, but it's a very accessible part for a lot of people. So that's why I usually go to that example. If you want to start to utilize different platforms for free, you can just use Eventbrite and Reddit. Or you can try to find, because not everybody is going to have like an E3 or a Gamescom or a CES right down the street from them, you know and then when you start to promote yourself and network, that's when you want to go to those larger events and larger conventions to, this is my skill set and I'd love to like get connected with this world. So very much you can utilize the traditional job market and how people would go to job fairs and network themselves there, or they would go to country clubs and things like that. Those spaces exist in gaming as well. Those same people making the executive decisions are going to be at those golf clubs and at those those bigger conventions and things like that, right? So also LinkedIn is still a really, really good resource for a lot of people because it is a social media platform. This audience is tech savvy. They're going to want to get their name out there, And then if on the other side, if you want to get into this space from a competitive, you want to be an influencer, just start. You have
Start.
to start. And then one suggestion that I was given I'm not even a content creator, and I was given this suggestion from one of our streamers. He's just like, dude, like you got to follow the Joe Rogan mentality of you have your stream, right? But people aren't going to just go right into your stream and watch the whole thing through. You got to make sure you post the recorded VOD on your Twitch or whatever your live stream platform is so that people can see it later. You also need to take clips of the coolest parts, whether you get a really good headshot in or really funny part, a really funny fail. Like you need to post those as well, and you have to be consistent with it. Most of the things in life you're going to experience that you're going to get some kind of benefit from are going to be overall that benefit is going to be acquired by that level of consistency that you put in, right? And that can be learned from literally every industry in every and just like that in gaming as well. So a lot of advice, but stick with it. Develop your skill set. There's a lot of free resources you can use to develop your skill set in marketing, social media, branding, all that stuff, and don't stop. Take notes and just don't stop.
There you go. All right. Before we let you go, one more. Let's go.
Now time for Pick 3!
It's now time for pick 3. Before we let you go, you get to ask yourself the last 3 questions. That's right. You get to ask yourself the last 3 questions. So give me numbers between 1 and 13. And those are the questions I'm going to ask you.
Oh, 1 and 13. Okay. 6.
2 more.
12 and 9.
6, 12, and 9. 6. Who are the 3 people most influential in your life?
Okay. It's got to be. All right. My dad. Okay. My dad, Jay Cutler, and Hani Rambod.
Okay, that I get. Who are
Yeah.
the other 2?
So Jay Cutler was 4-time Mr. Olympia, and
Okay.
what he did was he was one of the first bodybuilders, besides Arnold Schwarzenegger, to really bring together the money side and the overall developing the brand side
Mm-hmm.
to a public figure that is seen as a pariah in the overall landscape of athletics, right? So he took his overall branding as a bodybuilder and developed it out to a brand because there's a lot of guys that experience the champion level of athletics, but when they retire, they don't put a cushion there for themselves.
There's no money
And
coming in.
exactly. And then Hani Rambod is the best bodybuilding trainer in the world, and he's coached over 20 different Mr. Olympias. And what I like about him is he blended the science and the science and the overall intensity from the just traditional work hard mentality, and he also has studies to back up his approach, and he developed a system called FST7, which stands for fascia stretch training, which the fascia are the harder shell to the outside of the muscle fibers. And that is a very, very different approach to just,
The regular
fitness
stuff.
in general.
All
Exactly.
right. The next question, I'm going to switch it a little bit on you.
Okay.
It says, what are the 3 movies you would recommend to your audience? So I'm going to switch it on you. What is the 1 movie you would recommend and 2 games you would recommend to my
Okay.
audience?
Okay. So one movie. Oh man. All right. One movie that I'd recommend, it's got to be Last Samurai. That's like Tom Cruise's best performance, man. And also like I'm an esports and gaming. I'm a low key weeb,
Yeah.
so people understand. So Last Samurai, and then 2 games that I'd recommend. One, if you're just going to be going for the overall just the single player approach, Vanquish, which is it's like an older game from the same studios that made Bayonetta and like Metal Gear Solid. And then if you're going to be going for a more of a multiplayer approach, this is a little bit weird. Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's free to play. Really, really good MMORPG for anybody that's just looking to get a little social, get a little funky with like Star Wars. So a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
All right. So the last question, we kind of touched on it already. So I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to give you a different question.
Okay.
Question that I want to know is if you can follow anybody for one day, be a fly on the wall, past or present,
Mhm.
who would you follow and why?
It's got to be Alexander the Great. It's got to be because you've got somebody who had such unbridled sense of positivity and self-idolization to the point where he believed in himself and in his heart of hearts that he could do anything. So he went out and did everything. So he went on to, and nobody could really encompass his level of success just in conquering different regions and just his overall like strategic mind. And I'd probably like to see him towards the end, because if I saw him when he was younger and he was winning battles, I'd probably feel too bad about myself. Just I'm like, wow, you're at the age of 16 and you're already like doing all this. Okay, cool. But so that's got to be that. It's got to be Alexander the Great.
All right. Listen, my friend, this has been fun. I appreciate your time coming on and teaching us little things. But before we let you go, I'm going to sneak one more in it.
Mhm.
If you could talk to parents about their kids always being on the games.
Oh, man.
Always being on it. What's the one quick thing you'd tell parents? They're like, you're always on the game. You're never going to do anything with the game. You're always on the game.
Yeah.
Go study a book. What would you tell parents?
I would tell parents a few short things. One, make sure that you're facilitating the positive habits surrounding the game. Make sure their sleep is dialed in. Make sure their nutrition is dialed in. Make sure that they have some level of physical activity to balance it out. No, after that, what I would say is make sure they're playing a relevant title, so that if they were to stream, and they can develop the skills in overall streaming, and they can develop, better create a brand around themselves, so that they can go into a more lucrative side of gaming, of esports overall. And then finally, what I would say is, make sure that you watch who they're connecting with online, and just make sure that overall safety is in place. So and make sure that they understand that where you're coming from. There's too many parents that will have what sounds like a closed-minded mentality, but they're doing it out of love, right? So make sure you follow those, and I think that those are the best steps to follow in this newer generation of, get off the game, but it could be something, but I don't know, like that's what I would say to parents.
Listen, buddy, this has been fun. I'm so excited to get this out there for all of us to listen to. Thank you so much for taking the time, my friend.
Of course, Charles. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. What are you waiting for? It's time to pick up that controller, jump into action, and as they say, let's go. We'll see you next time.
Awesome.
Has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share,